In November 1978, deep in a South American jungle, over 900 Americans died in a single day. Until the events of September 11, 2001, this tragedy stood as the largest loss of American civilian life in a non-natural disaster. To trace how this happened, we have to go back to the 1950s and a man named Jim Jones. He founded the People's Temple, presenting it as a progressive church dedicated to racial equality and social justice. During a time of strict racial segregation, this inclusive, charity-focused message resonated. The church attracted thousands of ordinary, well-intentioned people looking to build a better community. When we look at a tragedy of this scale, it's easy to fall back on words like brainwashing. But to truly understand how a movement rooted in equality ended in a massacre, we have to look closely at the specific mechanics of extreme coercion. As the People's Temple grew to thousands of members, the culture inside the organization began to shift in subtle, dangerous ways. To the outside world, they maintained their image as a dedicated charity, but behind closed doors, Jones created an environment where questioning his authority was strictly discouraged and absolute loyalty became mandatory. Psychologists call this a closed ideology loop. A leader becomes the only trusted source of truth, cutting followers off from independent information. By the mid-1970s, as journalists and former members asked questions, Jones tightened his grip to keep the outside world away. The first stage of coercive control rarely involves physical force. It relies on psychological conditioning, teaching people that outside information is a threat and that safety only exists with the leader. To escape the growing media scrutiny, Jones made a radical decision. He relocated his followers to a remote agricultural settlement in Guyana, South America. He pitched Jonestown as a sanctuary. He promised a peaceful community where they could build a better society, entirely insulated from the pressures of the United States. Survivors later revealed Jonestown functioned as an engineered information vacuum, maintained through grueling physical labor and a total lack of contact with the outside world. Members faced long workdays under intense surveillance. Daily life there was governed by strict rules, most notably a total ban on communicating with their families back home. Geography became a primary mechanism for control. By removing a person from their familiar environment, the leadership effectively blocked their ability to verify Jones's claims against independent sources. Back in the United States, family members were growing desperate. They began receiving troubling, whispered reports from relatives trapped in the jungle settlement. The mounting alarm prompted U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan to act. In November 1978, he launched a fact-finding mission to Guyana, bringing journalists and concerned relatives. At first, the visit appeared calm. Then, several desperate residents secretly approached Ryan's delegation, begging for help to escape. The illusion of a peaceful utopia shattered. As the delegation and defectors attempted to leave from a nearby airstrip, they were ambushed. Congressman Ryan and several others were murdered on the tarmac. This attack marked a point of no return for the People's Temple. With the ambush, Jones had violently severed the community's connection to the law, moving the settlement toward a final, desperate confrontation. Following the ambush at the airstrip, a deeply paranoid Jim Jones knew his unchecked power was finally broken. He called the entire community together for the last time. During those final hours in the settlement, hundreds of community members, including many children, lost their lives. Jones himself died that day as well. In the aftermath, investigators and survivor testimonies cracked open the black box of Jonestown. They documented the methodical, step-by-step tactics Jones used to break down personal autonomy. Today, the event stands as a foundational case study. Psychologists, historians, and law enforcement agencies use it to analyze the exact mechanics of destructive, coercive groups. Decades later, Jonestown remains a permanent warning. Our strongest defense against coercion is the right to question authority and maintain access to independent, verifiable information.